What is going on, everyone? My name is Extreme Serial, and I am here to bring you a very special Monster Hunter Rise video, a great sword build that you may not know about that is extremely powerful and has great potential for patch 3.0. That's right, the Kamut. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's this guy right here. It is the Rampage Great Sword. That's right, you might be thinking, what on earth? Rampage weapons are not good, not even close to meta. But this might be the exception, and I'm going to show you why. Now let's break down the build to show all of you exactly what we are working with. So as you can see, as far as skills go, we got Crit Eye 6, Attack Boost 4, Weakness Exploit 3. I put on Stun Resistance 3 because I never like being stunned out of Hyper Armor. Speed Sharpening 3 to keep up your white sharpness. Handicraft 2, Focus 2, Crit Boost 1, and 1 point in Hellfire Cloak, which is neat. Now, the real spicy part of this build is, of course, its weapon. A weapon that normally is never really talked about or utilized in really across the board for any weapon. That is the Rampage weapons. So here we have the Rampage Cleaver 5. And what it comes with is 200 attack, comes with blue sharpness on its own, and 20% affinity. Now the Rampage slots are sharpness type 1, which gets us to that blue sharpness up there, combined with non-elemental boost and affinity surge. That, of course, combined with the Sinister Gauntlets with 2 points in handicrafts, gives us a nice chunk of white sharpness. So now that you've seen the build, let's see what it can do. I'm going to charge up 3 slashes, 590, 646, and we're going to use a Rage Slash, 894, still got a good chunk of white sharpness left. So that's some pretty good damage. But here's the thing about this build right here. I am using it only rocking a Weakness Exploit 2 Talisman, right? This entire build is very similar to the Narga meta build. The only real difference is that this guy right here, you swap out those Rathalos braces for the Sinister Gauntlets, and you swap out your Hunter's Greaves for the Ingot Greaves, because you need more points in Critical Eye to get you to 100% affinity. But other than that, if you saw my last video, I was simply rocking a Weakness Exploit 2 to get that Narga build up to its almost maximum potential. And that's where this build really shines. If we were to compare the two, we can see that on the Narga set, we are rocking near maximum attack boost, just missing 1 point. We have maxed out focus, and we have maxed out critical boost. If we go to our equipment info here, Rathalos braces, Hunter's Greaves, but everything else is the same. Now let's see Narga's damage once again, just to make the comparison and show everyone what the real potential is. So I'm just going to do the level 2 charge, maxed out, 682. Rage Slash to achieve 943. And because I didn't get that first full charge slash, let's just show you so you can all have a comparison. We have 623. So you can see it does a little more damage consistently, but where does it go? What if I had a better talisman? What if I had a much better talisman that had Weakness Exploit 2, maybe a point in attack boost, a point in crit boost, and some level 3 or even a couple of level 2 decoration slots? Where do I take this build? It's a very interesting question, isn't it? Because if you think about a standard setup for dealing the most damage on any enemy, kind of excluding like specifics and tailors to specific monsters, but just in general, right, dealing the most damage possible, well, your setup is kind of standard. You want to maximize attack boost. You want to get to 100% affinity on weak points. If the game was in a different state, ideally you'd want 100% affinity just all the time, not even on weak points, but we're not there yet. So right now, 100% affinity on weak points. Then of course, if you're getting that max affinity and critting 100% of the time, You want 3 crit boost because you want those crits to once again do the most damage. And then finally, the setup between Focus 3 and Focus 2. Now this can kind of alter. For True Charge / playstyle, you ideally want Focus 3 all the time. There is nothing to be gained from having a slower charge up to the True Charge / level 3 charge. On the other hand, when you're playing Rage /, Focus 2 sometimes might be more beneficial because it gives you a bigger windup to your Rage / animation, which means it extends the amount of time you have Hyper Armor that you can tank a hit, which then increases the power of Rage / to deal more damage. This is ideal in kind of certain specific fights where monsters have delayed attacks that maybe spawn around you and can go off and kind of ruin your flow. Teostra is a very good example of this, and you'll see why in a bit. Now, that being said, this build really can only be pushed 1 point more in attack, and then after that, what? Quick Sheath, Punishing Draw, Agitator, right? Your options are kind of neat, and they can add more damage, don't get me wrong, and they can add an increased enhancement to the Greatsword playstyle, but they're not as good as these other skills. These other skills are just to amp up your damage in almost any situation. They're not specific. They don't need the monster to be enraged like Agitator to do more damage. If you're crazy enough to put peak performance on a Greatsword, well, you're not going to have max health most of the time because you're tanking a bunch of hits, right? Now, what about skills like Quick Sheath? Well, Quick Sheath is cool, but it's kind of just a big convenience skill. And while it is neat, doesn't do too much for damage, right? Now, on top of that, what else is there with Quick Sheath? Well, there's Punishing Draw, there's Critical Draw, but we already have 100% affinity, and Punishing Draw, once again, that stun power is neat, but not really that much added to your damage. So what about the Rampage build then? Well, if we go back to that build, we'll notice there is quite a lot of bit of room for improvement. We have 3 points missing from attack boost to max it out, but really only 2 to match that Narga set. On top of that, we're rocking Focus 2 right now, which I said is more useful maybe if you're kind of delaying your Rage / attacks, which is kind of what I'm using this set for. And then we only have 1 point on critical boost. If we were to miraculously get a great talisman, and by we, I mean me, because I'm sure a lot of you out there already have an awesome talisman, but I don't, right? So for all of you out there that do have this sweet weakness exploit 2, critical boost 17, attack boost 50,000 talisman with like a bunch of slots on it, you can max out this build, and guess what? If you were able to do that, this beats Narga. That's right. If some way you were able to get a sweet talisman, this build as a raw meta set, so nothing really specific, like I said, once again, no Quick Sheath, no Agitator, no like Punishing Draw, just basically the standard setup on both of them. This beats Narga. Now, of course, if you favor those convenience skills, well, then you can put them on the Narga set, and you would probably prefer that one. But the fact that this weapon can actually compete with the most OP weapon on the greatswords currently in the game is pretty insane, because it's a rampage weapon. I mean, look at this thing. I colored it green. I made my whole self green. I love it. And that's the thing that I think is the best about this. It's finally a change up. I know all of you, and me especially, have been grinding so much in this game that I want to change up. Yeah, I mean, I love my Narga Greatsword and I like the damage it does, but I want to do something new, and it's kind of a bummer that a lot of the other options really sacrifice damage. But this one, not so much. It's just a little bit. It's just a bit of damage, and if we got a better talisman, if you have a better talisman out there, it would be incredible. Now, the real kicker about this build isn't just what it's got going for it now, but rather its future potential, and that is patch 3.0. because we all know that Rampage weapons will be getting yet another boost in patch 3.0. And that means more raw attack power, but also better Rampage skills. Now, from the last patch to 2.0, each one of these Rampage skills got a boost on top of the raw attack the weapon received. So that's a total of 4 boosts to the weapon, and it's extremely customizable as well. Now, of course, I have absolutely no idea what they're going to do with these Rampage weapons in patch 3.0, but it's a really good assumption to make that this will be ramped up, and depending on what weapons are released in the Greatsword, this right here, the Rampage 6 Cleaver, could be a top tier meta contender. The freaking Rampage weapon, people, it's nuts, but it's real and it's true, and it's here for you. So that's the video, everyone. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this build kind of gave you something new to grind for, new to use, a change up if you're a Greatsword player that's just kind of tired of using the same old. You get to use the Rampage weapon, which means you get that sick, sweet customization. I colored mine green, I made my guy green, but you can make whatever color you want. That's the beauty of the Rampage weapon. It's extremely customizable, and it can spice up your play, and you can be ready for patch 3.0, where who knows, this build might get even more powerful. Now, to really show you what this weapon can do, let's take it out on a hunt. And that being said, thanks again, everyone. If you liked the video, please be sure to like the video and make sure to subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.